David Baye here for MuscularDevelopment.com. We are in Pittsburgh for the 2014 North Americans. I'm hanging out here with heavyweight competitor Erik Ramirez. Erik, a solid finish at Nationals last year, top 5 placing. You walked away with 4th. I think everybody kind of figured we'd see you again at Nationals. Decided to jump in at the North Americans a few months early. I took a look at you last night, and the guys on MD got to see a picture. You're absolutely shredded by the look of your face. I don't know how much leaner you can get. Talk to us a little bit of what you've been up to since Nationals last year.
I mean, basically, you know, when it comes to for the show, I just, you know, went back to the gym and started training. I started working on, you know, what the judges told me I needed to work more. People was like, this was your best condition, you know, this was your best look. You know, and then I was like, you know, I started looking at the pictures, like I can get a little better, I can get a little harder here and there. And I put it in my head that that's what I wanted to bring without me even being worried about my weight. So, you know, I started working on my condition very early with George Farad. You know, we tried different things, a lot of food, you know, no cheats this time. Basically, I only had like 1 cheat a week before the show because, you know, I was already, you know, getting ready too fast. For my surprise, you know, I came in, you were here yesterday when I check in and I weigh in, I ended up being 11 pounds heavier than what I was at Nationals. And that's only like, you know, with 4 months of off season probably.
Where were you at last year's Nationals versus here?
210 pounds.
Okay, so you weighed in at 221?
Correct, 221, yeah. And basically from what people tell me, you know, my condition is looking good. I'm very picky, so I always can see more. So I really appreciate when other people tell me, you know, it's good because it makes me relax and come a little bit.
Well, you know, one of the things that we critique, and you guys, I'm sure, see it in all the wrap-up videos and stuff like that, especially at a national level in the NPC, you know, there seems to be a lack of conditioning amongst guys. You know, everybody gets so worried about being as big as they can because they are at a national level. You know, I've been there myself, and you get so hung up on just being a big guy, you forget that, hey, this is still all about conditioning. Last year at Nationals, even in 4th place, you're one of the most conditioned guys in the show. That was, you know, that was kind of agreed upon by everybody. But obviously, coming in here 11 pounds heavier, bringing the same conditioning or even a little bit better, you got to be happy about with where you're at. Did you and George make any changes? I mean, because you know the way you looked last year at Nationals, it was just one of those things where, hey, you got to be a little bit bigger. So as far as the training, you know, that's just a time component. But you know, with as good as you look, was there a need for changes? Did you make any?
I mean, it was changes, yeah, when it came down to my food. And I've been with George 3.5 years already prepping. I think that's a plus. He knows me already. Basically, we just didn't win for the cheat meal every week like everybody needs to have a cheat meal. You know, basically, we were eating more. Instead of having a cheat meal, just more carbs. The lowest, I actually dropped my carbohydrates this prep was, you know, when it was carb depleting, which was 3 days before I start carb loading, and it was like a 250 grams.
Oh. That, I mean, for anybody who's dieted, you know, when we talk about low carbs, 250 is not low. Do you just have a real fast metabolism, or was that just part of the diet? Or I mean, because 250, I mean, for a lot of people, that's a pretty substantial amount.
That is, I mean, yes, you know, that's what basically some people diet down on. That question got to go to George. You know, he knows me. Before that, I was around 430 grams of carbs, the lowest. You know, you know, it was no fats. Sometimes, you know, he put fats in when he sees my body flying it out. That's more of a George question. You know, maybe we can get him to see.
No, you know, George isn't going to explain that.
Because people do not believe I was only doing tops 25 minutes of cardio, and I did stop my cardio 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So give yourself a little bit of a break. Didn't have to worry about flattening out, losing the legs from the cardio.
Correct. You know, once your body, you know, your metabolism, especially my body, starts, when it kicks in, everybody, you know, starts seeing, sometimes you see a film of water, or sometimes you see flat and you think it's like, oh, you need to cut and more cardio. No, sometimes maybe you flatten it out. Sometimes you need to lay back off the cardio and add food, and that's what basically we were doing. Laid off the cardio, eat more food, fill in, skin be tight. I was like, it's no fat, it's just being flat.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where having a good coach comes into play too, because a lot of people, you're absolutely right, if you don't think where you're at, they're first reaction is going to be, hey, I need to bump up my cardio, and sometimes that can actually be detrimental to your prep and not a benefit. So, well, it looks like from everything we saw yesterday, and I don't like to judge too much off of faces, but yours is pretty caved in. I know all the guys at MD every year at the Olympia, everybody's all covered up, so we like to judge guys on how sunk in their face is, and if we're going off that, I'd say you're pretty close to where you need to be. But for right now, we're going to wrap things up, let you get back to what you're doing. Appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck for myself and everybody at musculardevelopment.com. Guys, this is David Baye with heavyweight competitor Erik Ramirez from the 2014 North Americans for musculardevelopment.com and Iron Mag Labs.